Hello, everyone, and welcome. As digital, really everything around data, technology, artificial intelligence, all of those are coming into the mainstream. We're really starting to see two distinct evolutions happening at the same time. First, the tools and applications are becoming really consumer grade, which is to say that they can be put into play buying in the business without necessarily having to involve the large IT department and get choked by the large funnel of activities that need to get done, which is fantastic. Second, we're realizing more and more now that the best opportunities to drive value lie at the intersection of business and digital, of AI and context. And really, with the people that understand the business, the domain, the process, and all of the context that comes into play. And as a result, what we're starting to see is this whole movement around many terms I use. Citizen development is a good way to think about it, which is a broad-based usage of digital and AI tools to be able to transform business processes, models, and so forth. It's actually expected, I was reading somewhere, that almost 80% of the user base for low-code, no-code development tools is actually outside of the IT department. And if not there today, it'll get there in a few years. So today I thought I'd actually take us a little bit of a deep dive into it. And we want to explore that intersection. We want to think about citizen development, but we're not talking about doing tons of experiments and pilots randomly. We're trying to drive innovation at scale. And so how do we think about that? What are the best lessons learned? How do we structure it? How do we manage it? And how do we run it at scale? And to do that, I wanted to bring in a colleague, Max Cheprasov. Now, Max and I met many years ago. He was at that time with Dentsu. And I think it's widely known that he was the first automation officer in that industry. And he's since done many different things. He's pioneered the use of AI and automation in media and technology as an industry. He served as a chief transformation officer. And obviously, as anyone does, when you go through an exercise like that and an experience set like that, you get a few bruises and you get a few successes. And so I'm super delighted, Max, to have you join us today.
And lose hair, right?
I didn't want to say that, but that's what you added. But thank you. But just getting more serious, Max. Look, this is really, really important because, as I said, we don't want to have tons of experiments. The pilot production journey is actually the most important thing to get right. And now we're talking about running it at scale with all of these people involved across the businesses. There's investments, there's returns, there's expectations, and there's technology mandates that are coming into play. Let's get a mind into it. And so tee that off. First off, citizen development itself is changing with the advent of Gen AI. Talk to me a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, I see Gen AI definitely as an impressive advancement, an additional tool in the toolbox of transformation and digital transformation champions and AI champions and teams. Gen AI is a lot more accessible than the previous set of tools, like RPA, NLP, OCR, the low-code, no-code platforms. They're still in the toolbox. They're still very important, right? Gen AI, to be clear, is not replacing any of them. I think it creates an additional muscle. It allows you to, focus on sort of more use cases and broader type of use cases. So, but ChatGPT has definitely pushed AI closer to the masses and made it possible for people to benefit from it in a practical sense. And previously, you needed to spend a lot more time up front on educating everybody in the business on what is hype versus reality and what can you do. What is AI? What is automation? What could you potentially do with that? And where do you start?
And I mean, you're right? Because I mean, Gen AI has not only brought it closer to the user base, as you said it, it's actually democratized the use. You can express computer language as English language. English has become the next programming language. And certainly outside of work, it's actually brought this to a democratization where everyone has experienced it, they've touched it, they've felt it. And if you can do it at home, why can't you do it business? You're right, this is it, right? This is the final, sort of the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle in enabling kind of the advent of citizen development. But, when you think about a large enterprise and you think about, we're 127,000 employees, colleagues in the firm that I work for, as an example, that's a lot of footprint there. And so how do you even pick the right things to work on? How do you prioritize this whole citizen development effort?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a lot of, defining citizen development is a lot easier than actually creating and lifting that program and getting started. And Dentsu, where I was the chief automation officer, has 65,000 people globally across pretty much every country. So it's a large footprint as well as the sophistication and complexity of the business, where it's very, very fragmented and came together as a lot of different companies were acquired. So citizen development actually was a way to mitigate that and allow people in different business functions, people of non-technology background, non-IT experts, but people who know the pain points and have real use cases for what automation can do to transform their day-to-day business operations. And so citizen development is a quick way to really get to some quick wins and demonstrate value at scale, especially if you're introducing it to multiple different business functions. And I think citizen development, obviously not everybody in the company needs to be a citizen developer, but the ultimate goal should be that everybody is automation consumer. Citizen developers are the ones who have the tools, the knowledge, the domain expertise to build the solutions that are usable and applicable to all sorts of business functions.
And so literally, how do you do it, right? Because you could technically sort of say, it's free for all, come up with an idea, go use the tools, make it happen, you're on your own, goodbye. Or you could set up with the structure. I'm trying to draw a little bit of a humor into the conversation. But look, I mean, at an enterprise grade output with a mindset of innovating at the best and most efficient pace of technology, you need some structure. You need to set it up right. How did you set it up? What lessons did you learn? What can you tell us?
Definitely not the sink or swim type of approach. Very structured, very methodical. The way we approached it, we had an 8-year roadmap. You have to have a big, mission and vision behind this, and you need to get everybody in the company behind this mission. And our mission was to elevate human potential by integrating AI and automation into everything we do. That was the North Star, 8 years out. We didn't know what exactly it's going to look like, but we knew that citizen development is going to be a huge component to this, right? So when everybody knows that this is going to be important and everybody has the right skills, so training people, identifying people who are going to be the citizen developers was very important, training them, providing them the right knowledge and skills and tools, but also making sure that they're not the only ones in the business who are thinking about what could transform as a result of these technologies. Get everybody in the game, every brain in the game. So creating some sort of a hub, like an automation hub, for example, where everybody can go in and submit ideas for what they see as an opportunity. And even those people who are contributing those ideas need to know what is the art of the possible, what is hype versus reality, what can practically you can achieve with these technologies. And when they know that and they have a business problem, they can contribute it to a centralized pipeline of use cases and gamify it. Do social upvoting, allow everybody in the company to upvote most relevant ideas to the top. And those ideas at the top will find their way to citizen developers who have availability or the right domain context to put those ideas to life. And then gamify it further. Give people the right incentives. Give them bonus points for the top ideas, top ROI, top components that are reusable. And then allow people to benefit from those points by converting them to cash. So everybody is going to be involved in citizen development in one way or another.
I mean, Max, you said that so simply and so succinctly and so easily. I mean, that is so much packed into what you just said. I mean, I kind of got number one, set the right mission for the corporation. And sometimes you don't know all the specific things that need to get done. So you got to set the right vision or mission for the group so that people identify into it, even if they don't know the next thing they're working on. You talked about this idea of then figuring out the talent pool and the people that need to get involved and segmenting them and skilling them and giving them access to tools and getting them engaged fully. You talked about the idea of the best ideas lie in the business. And so crowdsourcing the best opportunities for automation or AI engagement. And then actually, I love the upscoring idea, this peer-reviewed mechanism to really get both the best ideas come through, but a real engagement, even if it's not your idea, you happen to have voted up something. And so we're all in it together. And then you talked about actually then managing the gamification, keeping people engaged, the reward mechanism. We said a lot in there, right? But it was fantastic because obviously you've done this and it's worked. What didn't work? What are some of the lessons that we can take away from like things that broke in that journey?
Yeah, lots of war wounds along the way because there wasn't a blueprint at that time, and there's so many different use cases today that are available for people to kick off these programs a lot easier than it was, because a lot of it was for us to figure out things by trial and error. And you know, we've talked about a lot of things, but it's a lot harder to actually get it off the ground because changing a legacy technology is a lot easier than changing a legacy mindset. So one of the lessons learned for me, one of the first lessons learned for me was realization that not everybody thinks about AI and automation in the same way. So getting crystal clear across the whole organization, what we mean by AI and automation and how we're going to measure that success, and how we're going to incentivize that success across the business was very important for us to set up upfront before we even started to look at different technologies out there. The other one is don't fall into a trap of marrying to a single technology. Diversify your toolkit. Don't think that one particular AI-based technology is going to solve all of your use cases. And don't think that there is not something on the horizon that's going to appear as a new startup that may disrupt. Everything's changing so quickly. ChatGPT has obviously provided a lot of innovation, but there could be something else, something next. So what is next? And one of the things that you should do if you have a large program like this, you should dedicate time and resources to continue scouting for what's next. What's the next emerging technology that you should be considering to integrate to create a competitive edge?
I love this. Again, you say it so simply. I got the 3 M's, right? Which is the idea of give it some meaning. So everyone in the company understands exactly what we're taking this technology or the use of this technology. You talk about mindset is the most important thing to change. I think you had a great analogy you gave here, which is technology. It's easy to change, mindset's not. So really make sure that you start early on that journey and get that right. And then I think use the word metrics and make sure you measure it. You have the right metrics. You design it up front and you report it back because in the end, these things cost money. More importantly, there's an opportunity cost in people doing this, and therefore they can't do something else. And so eventually it comes down to metrics and making sure that you're getting the best return on outcome. So a great set of insights there, and I can sense that from a lot of lived experience in the business. I'm going to ask you one last question. One of the biggest things on mine, I think many of my peers' minds right now, is pilot to production. We're seeing that in generative AI. We've all tried many different things. They've all kind of been beautiful, but it's an unlimited data set that we've cleaned completely to the point that it's just pristine. We have defined a narrow use case that generally is very applicable to the world of Gen AI or AI or machine learning, and we get great insights on a one-time run. But when you take that and implement it across the larger data set, across the real business world, integrate into upstream and downstream processes and let it run by itself, some of those things don't really work out. And so this pilot production journey is actually one of the most important things. And so are we complicating this with citizenship development on the front end, which actually makes it even more messy? Or what can we learn that helps us in this pilot production journey from your experience?
I think citizen development is definitely a quick way to win things and win over the minds and hearts of people who are just new to AI. And it's a very agile way to do things. With more sophisticated projects out there, I don't even want to call them pilots because you're setting the mindset in the direction of an unnecessary change. We know by now that these technologies can do a really good job, that the ROI is there, the use cases are there, heat maps for what you can transform with AI is out there. Just get started. AI and digital transformation today is less about technology. It's first and foremost about people and talent transformations.
Transform people and talent and just get started. We're going to end it there. Max, it's been a pleasure having you on this discussion. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.